their apology, they could shove their apology up their ass. Hemi Panarin definitely looked like he got his mojo back. He got an assist. I was wrong. Big. And welcome to Big Apple Hockey. The final buzzer here. This is a special one and kind of a bittersweet one in a way for me, and I know for a lot of you other Ranger fans. But this is Sam's final buzzer. Sam's final sign-off. And I just wanted to do this to pay tribute to Sam and, just talk about him and his career and what he means not only to the world of sports and sports broadcasting, but what he means to us, the fans. I always talk about things in like soundtracks because I'm big on music. And I always say that there's a soundtrack to your life. And it's filled with different songs and voices and faces. And Sam Rosen is probably right at the top of the list for me. I've been watching this team for 30 years, over 30 years. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with this. I don't know why the font and everything is different, but couldn't agree more with that. Yeah, it's so funny because when Al Trotwig passed away, I mentioned that Al Trotwig was like part of the soundtrack of my life too, because whenever I heard that saxophone intro and Al or Sam and JD come into it, all right, yeah, you're getting booted, buddy. Sorry. You there is no way you will ever say that about Sam Rosen. Goodbye. I don't know who that is, but definitely goodbye. Not on this. I definitely have a soft spot for Sam and Al and JD and Joe and the guys that have done the Ranger broadcasts in my lifetime. And going back to my youngest memories of watching Rangers hockey, Sam was always there. And I know that's the case for probably a lot of people. That saxophone intro will never, oh my God, they need that back so badly. And they should have brought it back for this year. They really should have. They should have brought it back for this year as a throwback to Sam and his career. And I can't say enough good things about Sam Rosen. I have a fond memory of the dark ages because I grew up during that time. I started watching when I was probably about like 6, 7. And some of my first memories were Sam and JD and the way they gushed over Mark Messier coming to New York. And how like him with Mike Gartner could be a great combination. And him and Gartner were not the combination that we thought, but Messier ended up bringing the cup to New York, and Sam had the legendary call, and he had the one to be. He was the one to be on the microphone when the Rangers finally broke that curse and that drought. And I just cannot say enough. There aren't enough superlatives to really give Sam Rosen the credit he deserves. So for me to go through those days and then to have that 97 Eastern Conference final run, ended with Eric Lindros water skiing past Mark Messier and eliminating the Rangers, and then just going through the dark ages and Messier coming back, and how happy Sam was to have Messier coming back, and then Richter, passing Jacquemin, and a lot of the things that happened during the dark ages. Sam and JD made the dark ages somewhat tolerable, because you knew you were, and Al Trotwick too. God rest his soul. But yeah, it's funny. It that, and then Esa Tikkanen against Florida, like I mean, unreal. I mean, when he finally got the call, the overtime winner, when Tikkanen hit the camera with the slap shot, it just, so many legendary calls that Sam Rosen has been on for, so many legendary moments that he's encapsulated. Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the other things. I have some banners that I'm going to be putting up, but to kind of just go through everything and just have him be like, I feel like I'm privileged to have lived during a time that Sam Rosen called the games that I watched. Like I always say that I got to watch Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan together as a wrestling fan. And that is one of the greatest color commentary combos of anything you will ever watch, between the way that they could put over the superstars and give you the insight of wrestling and provide humor and make the broadcast. The people don't realize what the broadcast analysts do for the show. If you do not have good broadcast analysts, it doesn't matter how good the wrestling or the sport or the game is, because a great broadcast analyst can make it that much better. A great combination in the booth just makes the games that much better. And that's what Sam and JD did. And Sam and Joe too. I mean, Joe's done an incredible job. And I'll always be biased towards JD there, because my earlier years were spent with JD, but Joe still does just a great job. And Sam had nothing but nice words to say. Janetti. Oh, Bobby was unbelievable. He really was. He was unbelievable. Probably either the greatest or the second greatest wrestling mind ever, Bobby the Brain Heenan. The only other guy that I would put right there would be Paul Heyman. But yes, and we're going to talk about this as well, Bluegrass. There's other things, but our story begins on August 12th, 1947. Sam Rosen was born in Germany. Him and his family fled Germany, came to the U.S. And from there, he developed a love for sports, New York sports, the Rangers. But Sam comes to America, and he begins his journey. And from the fall of 1984, he succeeds a legendary voice in Jim Gordon. And little did he know that the guy that mentored him, he'd become greater than the guy that he mentored, that mentored him. He was partnered with Phil Esposito, and then we know John Davidson, and current day Joe Micheletti. So it's just a line of great partners for him. Phil Esposito, I know many who watched during the 80s will speak very highly of Phil Esposito, and they liked him in that position. Obviously, great insight of the game, because he played and was a legendary player himself. And then he went on to become Trader Phil as a GM. So, and that's when John Davidson took over, I believe in 1987. And John Davidson was there from 1987 until 2006, when he went to the St. Louis organization and became an executive. And that's when Joe Micheletti stepped in. And we have been there ever since. A little fun fact about Sam Rosen is that he's the last local broadcaster to call a Stanley Cup Finals game, obviously in 1994, before playoff broadcasts went national. So Sam Rosen is the last guy to call it for a local syndicated broadcast before they went national. And he had the privilege of being the guy to make that legendary call. And this one will last a lifetime. The waiting is over. I just hope that line doesn't actually resonate. It doesn't actually end up being true, that I see another Stanley Cup in my lifetime. I don't know. It doesn't feel like I'm going to see it anytime soon, if ever. But getting to see that and knowing that we have this guy that called, that made that legendary call and was the one to do it, it just feels apropos. You know, it's sad. It's sad in a way because it just goes to show you how bad the team has been for 30 years. But it's at the same time, it's fitting because he got to be the one to say it, and there was no better man to be in that position to say those words and to be there at that right time. I mean, this is a 4-time Emmy winner for his Rangers coverage, the 2016 Foster Hewitt Memorial Award winner. Like that's big. That's one of the biggest honors you can get in hockey broadcast journalism. 2024 Lester Patrick Trophy winner for contributions to hockey in America. 1989 Sam Taub Award winner for excellence in boxing journalism. I mean, this is a guy who had other broadcasting endeavors. Hockey and other sports, various ones for ESPN from 1979 to 1988. NHL Network Radio from 1996 to 2008. 2002-2006 Winter Olympics he was on the call for. The NFL on Fox from 1996 to 2019. The lead boxing analyst for MSG until 1993. Like, this is just a Hall of Fame career and just an unbelievable honor to have this guy as our guy. He's our Sam. He's our legend. And the farewell tour that he had going across the NHL and the respect that he was treated with goes to just show you the level of greatness he achieved. And yeah, I mean, I have a feeling he's going up there one day. I have a feeling that 40 is going up in the rafters one day. That jersey wasn't just about a jersey. That's going to be a number that's going to be up in the rafters. It's going to be 40. And it's going to be Sam Rosen for the years that he called. Yeah, and we were saying this before earlier on with our stream today that, New York has been blessed with great play-by-play guys. I mean, the NBA, they went from Marv Albert to Mike Breen, Walt Clyde Frazier being there. Walt Clyde Frazier is 3 years older than Sam Rosen. And Walt obviously was joking before on the broadcast. He's like, why are you retiring? Sam's younger than him. So, I mean, I don't know what happened here, Joey. Something happened, but Kenny Albert is taking Sam Rosen's place. So it's just an unbelievable turn to go from Kenny Albert to Sam Rosen and so on. And what are some of your favorite Sam Rosen calls? Like, those are, this is something a little different. I don't know what's going on here. I'm messing with some things now, so sorry if it's a little trying to see what I can do here with this. But Yeah, Bob O'Shusen would be really good too. I hope he gets ESPN's gets ESPN's main position for hockey because I think he's great. But yeah, I love this. I love this for Sam. I do. I'm happy for him. But we went from Sam Rosen to Kenny Albert, and even the Islanders. We talked about, Anthony talked about Jake McDonald going from Jake McDonald to Howie Rose to Brendan Burke. Um, yeah, as an Islanders fan, one that's burned into my brain is Saved by Lundqvist. Oh, yeah, Saved by Richter was one that was burned into my brain for years. I'll throw it up there, but you just so many great calls. Rangers win. The Brett overtime winner, the 5-goal game for Mika Zibanejad. Mark Messier passing Gordie Howe. I think a lot of people respect Brendan Burke. I really do. I really think that a lot of people respect him. He's the guy that gets a lot of the calls for TNT on the national games. I think he's great. He's great. I think he's another one. When his career ends, we'll be looking at him as a great. He's going to be that guy that's going to take over Emmerich's spot. I think. He's definitely not a homer. There are times where he has to put Butch Goring in place because Butch Goring gets to be a little bit of a homer. And the Brad Richards goal against Arizona with you're talking about the Brad Richards playoff goal against Washington. That one was great. Yeah, and Brendan Burke was considered for the Yankees job. Yeah, so yeah, there's just so many great calls from Sam. I mean, you could think of just so many, but where do you guys think that he ranks among broadcasters in the all-time ranks? Yeah, Joey. Butch. I've seen him put Butch in his place quite a few times. Yeah, Stahl with the OT winner in that game, but that wasn't Sam. That was second round, so that wasn't Sam, unless you listened on radio and you had him on radio. MJ says top 3. The Domi versus Probert fight. Yeah, with the Domi with the championship belt. And you know what? I look at I put a pantheon together, and the very top of that pantheon, I put Sam Rosen, I put Doc Emmerich, I put Rick Jeanneret. Wow, Mike Lang is a great one. Both rest in peace to both Rick and Mike, who are no longer with us. I think Randy Hahn is going to be recognized as an all-time great when he's all said and done. Gary Thorne's my number 2 favorite behind Sam Rosen. John Forsland is amazing. We talked about him earlier on today. Bob Cole and Harry Neal. Yeah. Scratch my back with a hacksaw. Slap me silly, Sydney. Michael motorcycle. Dan Kelly Sr., yeah. Well, and then there's John Kelly, who was Detroit's broadcast guy for a while. He's with St. Louis now, but he was also Tampa Bay's inaugural broadcast. Chris Cuthbert, he's going to go down as a Hall of Famer. Chris Cuthbert's great. Him and Gord Miller. Gord Miller for the World Juniors is He's always great in the World Juniors. I love listening to him in the World Juniors. But Chris Cuthbert's been doing TSN. Jim Houston. I love Jim Houston. I know there are some that are not the biggest Jim Houston fans, but I think Jim Houston was great. I see your comment, Joey, but I'm not going to highlight that. There's just, yeah. I definitely agree with the way that Cuthbert says score. Like, just the way he says it. Foster Hewitt is obviously the standard of all standards. Obviously, Mark, our fearless leader coming into the chat. Yeah, I mean, love seeing the respect Devil's Joint. Definitely got to show some respect to the guy. It was like Rangers fans with Mike Emmerich. I mean, I told how, earlier on in our stream earlier today about how Anthony, myself, and a friend of ours, Alex, who sometimes comments in the chat here, how we would do the Doc Emmerich impressions, because he would say some of the craziest things because his vocabulary was just so extensive. It's like the guy was a walking thesaurus. And he jackknifed it off the half wall and over to Parise. And he just man, he was great too. And that's why, leaving NBC Sports was just, it was bittersweet in a way, because Doc was done and that was the sign off. And yeah, we were going to miss Doc. And Doc through a lot of those years and the Fox Sports years with John Davidson and, and it would not go. And that was one of his favorites. Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, careened, jackknifed, caromed. The words he would use, would blow your mind, drub to the front. Like, this is the type of impact that Sam Rosen has had. Yeah, that's a call that I don't like to look back on, but yes, he does. He does a great job with getting those calls, but that step on goal, I mean, the way he just yells out "Score!" and Derek Stepan sending the Rangers to play Tampa in the 2015 Eastern Conference Finals, you could just hear it, just how his voice started to get loud and crack, and just, oh man, you will. I mean, that, and then just that arena just absolutely coming unglued with that goal. I was at the Marty St. Louis Game 4 OT winner, so I never really got to watch that call. And yeah, and yes, please join our playoff bracket challenge. Mark, if you want to provide links in the chat, please do. So we're going to have a playoff bracket challenge, so all you guys can join along, and girls too. So, please feel free to play and see how, yeah. You knew you were getting crapped on. Yes, you are invited, Devil's Joint. And Mark's gonna put a link in the chat. He'll give more information. So yeah. Yes, that one. I was there for that. And I tell you right now, that guard, I was there for that, and I was there for Game 6. And when Lundqvist made the save. So I never really got to hear, I don't know what, it's so funny, because I've had chances to go back and listen to that call and watch that, and I never have, just because I always wanted that to be that visual, that memory of me being there, being the memory, and not the call. No offense to Doc, but when you're there and you experience something like that, you experience a legendary moment like that. That's just, oh man, Paul Romanuk. He was TSN Winnipeg, right? Winner gets a Mark Williams headshot. Yeah, have a good night. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. That's going to be a tough series for the Devils. It's going to be a very, very tough series for the Devils. Can I get that headshot signed? Oh, man. Yeah, Mark will be posting more information, or he can send it to me. And I can kind of post it in here. You know, Gary Thorne's Ray Bork call. And after 22 years, Raymond Bork. Yeah. Here it is, everybody. Bracket Challenge, NHL.com, EN Leagues 21348. So I'm going to put that as a banner. Hold on a second. I'm going to edit this. All right. We're going to do a new banner this way. Sorry, guys and girls. I'm still here. So let's edit that. Scroll across bottom. And we'll do a little savey save. Yep, and now that's across the bottom. Gary Thorne's off the floor and on the board. Paul Kariya. I don't know about Game Zone. You're gonna have to maybe talk to Mark about that. But it's all along. The link is going to be along the bottom here on the ticker. So if anybody needs it, yeah, Paul Kariya. I was rooting so hard for Anaheim to win that series, especially after that one. For him to get up and just give Scott Stevens the proverbial FU and just blow that one right by Marty Brodeur. Woo-hoo! Man. Scary part is Paul Kariya doesn't remember any of that. Yep. He doesn't remember any of it. Yeah. Yeah, it was an absolute like just absolute cannon of a shot. So why is this banner still up? Got rid of that one. But yeah. So just take some, questions, comments, and stuff like that. We'll talk some hockey here. I think tomorrow we're going to do a little bit of a playoff preview. That's Gary Thorne right there. Is that call, Anthony? That is Gary Thorne. I think Peter Laviolette's on his way out. If any of you are on Twitter and following the updates on Twitter, Chris Kreider, when he scored that goal, Will Cooley went and got him that puck. And Vince Mercogliano wrote that a lot of the sense in the building is that Chris Kreider knows that he's out. So, and I don't think they're getting him that puck unless that's his fun. Unless it's like the handshakes with Maroon and Alec Martinez. Like those handshakes aren't happening unless you're retiring. So I think Chris Kreider knows he's out. Gary Thorne had the juice. They got to get him. Yeah, I agree. I was very disappointed when Gary Thorne was not brought back. Yeah, I don't know about Drury, but Laviolette I definitely think knows is out. This is a good question, Anthony. I don't know. I don't know how soon it is. I would personally, I would get it right out of the way, and I would start looking. But I would say maybe by the end of the weekend. Wish they did the handshakes for Casey Sissy because he's still a decent player. Yeah, I agree with you. I like Gary Thorne in baseball, but I don't think that they talk to him from what I remember. I think they'll do exit interviews before they. Yeah, I think Kevin. I think you might be right about this, man. I think you might. I think Drury does need to go. Yeah, Kreider didn't want to talk to media and said he was going to talk on exit day. I think he knows he's out. I think he knows it. So, yeah. So. Oh, I just saw a little thing that Mark posted on the Instagram account for Big Apple Hockey. Mike Breen did a tribute to Sam Rosen. It's a power play goal versus the Nets. That's pretty awesome. We obviously, I assume you guys all saw the Mika Zibanejad commentary. I know my contract says both parties agreed to it. Like I said, I think I've earned it. Until it's time to adjust it, I have no plans of going anywhere. Yeah, I mean, you don't have any plans, but they may have a plan to get rid of you. You may not be wanted here. You got to know who your A guys are in this business. Thorne is the A guy. Yes. Yeah, he could bring backyard wrestling to life. You're right about that, Joey. Good night, Devil's Joint. Hopefully, good luck with your bracket. Sure, Truba had no plans either. Yeah, Truba wanted to circumvent those plans. Big difference. But like I said, I really think once Chris Kreider is dealt, I think once the reality starts to hit of what's going what yeah, and this too. I mean, if anyone remembers that, Drury having the conversations with Panarin after that 2023 postseason series, I mean, he had no points in the final 6 games of that series. I think that there's going to be that type of conversation with Zibanejad, and Zibanejad is going to have to he's going to have to come up. He's going to have to come up big if he wants to stay, or he's going to have to move. So, yeah, some of those Orioles teams were good, Joey, but they just couldn't get it done. James, this is a good question. I think there's a possibility that he's gone. The word that came out was that this was something that an independent investigator was brought in to investigate. The findings weren't disclosed, but the matter was considered to be closed. So I don't know who leaked this, and I don't know why it was leaked. I mean, I have a mutual friend from Twitter that I should call him more than a mutual friend because I've actually hung out with him a couple of times. But he came out and wondered if this was Drury trying to get Panarin out of New York. So I don't know if there's much more to dig into though, Joey. I mean, if they're saying, and this is what Vince got. Vince got this information. So if Vince is getting this, I don't think there's much more. And if the NHL already knows about this and they consider the matter closed too, then yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of with Carly on this one. I think we need to move on from this, especially if it's considered over. Well, that's what I said, Kevin. I said this, and I thought there would be a conversation, but others have pointed out that they're going to need some sort of offense. So who knows? But after what came up today, I don't know anymore, man. I'm really kind of like on the fence 50-50 about this. Yeah, I don't want to give Keandre Miller a massive new deal. I've been on record saying this many times. I don't think that he'll ever put it together because I think his issues are all up here. And if you're not able to put it together up there, it doesn't matter how good of a skater you are, how strong you are, how good your shot is. If it's not there, you're not going to be that type of player. You're not going to be the player that needs to be a difference maker, Maybe he does get a bridge deal. Maybe he does. Maybe I mean that's the most I would give him. He's still making the same mistakes in year 5 that he made in year 1. I don't know. I do agree with this 100%, B. Right. The timing of the league was very, very curious. So, no, Mark Stahl is actually in our developmental staff, which is not good. Not good at all. I don't think Keandre. Would he go to? What is he arbitration eligible? Yeah, he's arbitration eligible. They'll probably and that's probably what they'll do. Is they'll probably go to arbitration. Yeah, and this is the big thing though, is that they don't have unless they could get Gavrikov and somebody else there. I don't think they're going to move off of him. Yeah, I mean 2 years by $5 million. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with anything like above like 5.5 for him. If he's looking for like 6-7 million, aye. This comment's great. Yeah. No, I know they don't give out long-term deals. I know they don't. But if what he's looking for eventually is that, especially after that, if they go to arbitration and he runs through that deal, I think he would only get 2 years. I don't think he could get 3 because I think he would have 7 years of service time. Because 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so he would get I think it's either 27 or 7 service years, and that would be a 7th service year. So yeah, I agree with this. Schneider regressed too. And they were talking about Schneider and how you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, I think Fox is still hurting. I think a long off season is gonna benefit Fox. So I think he's going to ask the arbiter for 7. And I think the Rangers are going to have to go to 5-5 probably because of it. So I think the Rangers are going to come in somewhere between 4.75 and 5. And he's probably going to come in at like 7. So are you talking about Svechnikov here, David? I don't think Svechnikov is going to be available. I don't think Owen Power is available either. Rasmus Dahlin, there may be some smoke and possibly a fire in Buffalo there. So he's a good player. I think he's a little overrated. Like the way that he's talked about as like this elite power forward. But I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't. I know he had that great 2020 season, and then he had 30 goals and 69 points in 2022. But I mean, none of his numbers really snap out at you like that. Like he's a player that many teams would want, but I don't know. Yeah, I've heard that it's not good. I haven't exactly seen the numbers, but um, I think I'd rather have JJ Peterka than Svechnikov, to be 110% honest with you. So here's the thing. I don't know why it's so blurry right now. Peterka, I think Lafreniere is being underrated by some. Lafreniere's 5-on-5 numbers are still very good. Very good. So I think that he's probably valued a little more around the league than what we think. Yeah, Peterka's very good. He's very good. There is no denying that. Oh, you were talking Sergachev. I don't know if Utah would deal him. I would personally do that. I don't think they would. I mean, he's 53 points for them this year, including 15 goals. I mean, that's his second 50-point season. And a lot of people thought that he wouldn't be putting up those types of numbers in Utah. He's legitimate. I mean, I would move Miller for him in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even think twice about it. You'd have to add to get him, but I would absolutely move Keandre Miller from Mikhail Sergachev. And you're probably moving another top prospect with him to do that. I'll just let you know that right now. Yeah, Utah needs veterans, but I don't know if Chris Kreider really fits into what they're doing. And I wonder if Utah would be on his no trade. Who's the captain next year? Good question, James. I think it's going to be JT Miller, if anything. But I agree with Messier. They have to identify a captain, and they have to create an identity. Really, Messier, when he put those bullet points out over the weekend against Carolina. Okay, Joey. All right, Somalia. Yeah, Kreider could want to go to Boston. But I do think that they need to identify something. I think he could be captain material one day. Adam Fox, maybe. Somebody I thought that previously would end up being a captain, but the way this team quit this year, I don't know. But I will say this. Adam Fox is one of the guys who's looked like he cares. Like you could see the frustration in his face when goals are let up when he's on the ice. You can see it. And you could tell that he's been burdened by the partners he's had. As much as he loved Ryan Lindgren, and him and Ryan Lindgren are like that, you could see it that he was getting frustrated at times with the lack of production from his partners, especially Carson Soucy just being terrible at defense. Oof. This is actually a good thought question. Yeah. I'm wondering if Zibanejad or any of the guys will put, Laviolette on blast. You know, yeah, he cares. He definitely cares. There are times where he looks slow and he looks out of position, but you can see that he cares. I mean, the guy still had a 60-point season in a down year. Like this guy's an 80-plus point defenseman with a good team and a decent defensive partner. Yeah, this is what I asked. So I understand where Calvin DeHaan is coming from. I do. And what gives his comments a lot more credence is the fact that Peter Laviolette was running Carson Soucy out there every damn day. This guy is terrible. Why not change it up? Why not change it up? Please just change everything up. Get him out of there. And he just never did. Like he just checked out mentally. Oh no, I've seen them. I've seen them. He looks absolutely freaking terrible with. I mean, the analytics were terrible with Fox and Lindgren. So yeah, yeah. Drury probably told him. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if that's the case. If that's the case, then that's just awful. Like if you can't you're trying to save face over trading a third round pick for Carson Soucy. I mean, it was a terrible trade. I didn't like giving up a third round pick for him. I tried to stay positive. He was a guy that years back I wanted, but his game has fallen off a cliff. Who takes Duclair? That's the question I have. I mean, his efforts this year were just terrible. Terrible, terrible efforts from Duclair. And he's known as somebody who doesn't give you anything in terms of defense. But he also doesn't give you enough offense to justify that. And that's the biggest problem I have. And I'm someone who's liked Duclair. Obviously as a Ranger prospect and, draft pick, I've always wanted to root for Anthony Duclair, but he just never cared. Never cared, on defense. Just never gave anything on the other side of the puck. And I don't know if anybody takes that. I mean, he's got multiple years on his deal, Duclair. And he's making just, I mean, the cap hit, the AAV is not terribly high. It's only 3.5, but he's got a complete no trade. And then he's got a modified in the last 2 years of his deal. He's got 3 more years left. So, I mean, is he going to waive? It's not 4.5, Joey. It's 3.5. I'm looking on cap wages right now. Let's see what buyout. Oh, Jesus Christ. Actually, no, buyout is not that bad. You would have 6 years of a cap hit of 1.166. It would basically be $1,166,667 against the cap for the next 6 years. Yeah, 3.5. I mean, it's really, is he going to waive? And, if Patrick was not going anywhere, I would think that he would waive at that point. And I don't think it's Waz's fault that they missed the playoffs. I really don't. I think there was a lot of unfortunate injuries that really hurt them. lack of goaltending depth hurt them badly. They overworked Sorokin coming back from a back injury. Yeah, I can see the I can see the concern about this, MJ, and that we talked about Sam Bennett. Yeah, and that's why I was saying on our stream earlier today, and even last night when I was on with Ranger Central. You don't overpay for a Sam Bennett. You draft and develop and find the next Sam Bennett. Orlov is somebody I could definitely see them bringing in, especially if they can't bring in Gavrikov. Listen, Joey, I'm on board with you. I don't think Waugh's a great head coach. I do agree that the special teams have gotten worse. The power play hasn't gotten any better. The penalty kill has actually gotten worse. So I don't think that I don't think he's the answer, but I don't think that he's going anywhere. I definitely agree with this with Bluegrass. And I've said this going back a few years now. Lou Lamoriello spent way too much money on depth players, and that's how he screwed the Islanders. So, yeah, draft and develop. Crazy concept, right? Novel concept. Well, they can develop goaltenders, but they decided to sign one for $11.5 million a year. I mean, I don't know why you did that when you can actually, when it's the one position you can develop. But yeah. So I'm gonna go probably another 5 minutes on this, and then I'll sign off. Get some comments and questions in. But I mean, I could see them being in on Bennett. I could see them being in on Orlov and Gavrikov, maybe even Provorov. They're gonna address the left side of the defense. They definitely will. Oh yeah, and that's part of the issue here. You signed him to 11.5 million, and you did so after identifying that this core wasn't good enough. So you're going to have to retool, right? At the very least, retool, if not rebuild. So on the day that you traded your captain is when you gave him an $11.5 million record-setting deal. You gave him that on that same day. So now you're going to have to take the next 2 to 3 years to try to get back to where you were last year, which gives you a 2 to 3 year window to win. And then you're going to have 2 to 3 years of a goaltender that's clearly on the decline and has an immovable contract. It's like they didn't learn from the Lundqvist contract at all. I don't understand it. I really don't. Sam Bennett's not that old though. Like I saw the comment about the having the 32-year-old set and 32-year-old plus centers, but Sam Bennett is not that old. Like he's 28. He's going to be 29 in June. So I just would be very careful about the AAV with him. And then I would be very careful about the AAVs that you give to one of either Provorov, Orlov, or Gavrikov. Orlov seems like a fit to me just because he's good at puck transportation, and having a guy that could transport the puck with Fox would take a lot of pressure off of Fox. Orlov is still a very good skater. And he makes a good first pass. I do think Mika would be more amenable to waiving once Kreider is dealt. I think right now his comments are like, oh, Chris Kreider's not going, and he's still kind of like in a denial. In a denial sense. But I think Once that happens, I think reality is going to come hit him in the face, and that's when I think he might be a little more amenable to waving. We're going to be doing draft preview. Statboy Steven's going to be on with us for that, so definitely look forward to that. The Rangers, I think, are around 10 right now. They could move up. Hopefully, they move up into the top 5, but we'll see what happens with the draft lottery. Well, if it's high, they're going to keep the pick and they're going to try to be good next year so that next year's pick is a lower pick, and that goes to Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I said this, Kevin. I've said that, and I said it to a friend, and I said it earlier on, I think in our stream earlier on today, that Chris Kreider's obviously, with him being gone, Lafreniere's got to get that power play time. Like, I have to look at that, and I have to say to myself, like, you've got to start putting him there. And power play 1 has to be reconfigured because these guys don't move around on it, and that's why it's been so bad this year, because they don't move. There's stagnation. And watch Tampa's power play. There's so many moving parts, and that's how they get those cross-seam passes open. So, but I would put Lafreniere there. I'd have Lafreniere, JT Miller. I'd have Will Cooley in front of the net. If Panarin's back, you could put him and then Fox. But they need more shooters. And Lafreniere needs to be a shooter on that power play. Yeah, that needs to change too. I mean, I wouldn't mind him being away from Panarin to, the fact that Troy didn't say anything, yeah, that's kind of crazy to me too. I agree. And I see 2 comments about Tortorella in here. I don't think Tortorella's coming back. There was a word today about David Carl that, I think it was Freeman, I'm not sure, but it basically gave a bunch of teams that would be lining up for David Carl if David Carl becomes available. It seems like he's happy in Denver, but money talks. So if he wants an NHL job, there are going to be a bunch of suitors for him, and I think the Rangers would definitely be on that list. If Mike Sullivan gets fired from Pittsburgh, he would be the one retread that I would be happy with. Michael Pekka's probably gotten near the top of the list. No, I don't want Patrick Waugh. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. I would take him for a junior team, though. I think he's a good coach in junior. I think Joel Quenneville is probably a lot more probable than a lot of people think. That's the one guy that's the one guy that would come in and command instant respect in the locker room. I know about everything that happened. I'm not going to go over it. It's been covered. We've beaten that horse beyond death. The corpse is rotted. So I definitely think that he's somebody that they could definitely look into. I think Quenneville can get the clearance, and I do think that he's somebody that would probably be near the top of their list. You got to remember, Dolan likes guys that have good resumes, and he respects those guys. So that's why Laviolette was an obvious pick for me. I don't. You know what? I don't know about Pandolfo. I don't know if he's going, but I mean, there is a connection there. You're right about that. Bruce, yeah. I mean, he would fix the offense, but his defense just no. Yeah, that would be pretty funny. Yeah. I mean, and then, not only that, but Quenneville coached Panarin in Chicago. So, I mean, Panarin's familiar with him. That was his first coach in the NHL. So, Hines is a finalist. He didn't get the third interview. Laviolette got the third interview. Tocchet, I heard Johnny Lazarus bring that name up. So. Oh, and by the way, speaking of which, Tuesday, we will be doing a Rangers wrap-up. And we're going to have a special guest. Mr. Johnny Lazarus will be joining us for that wrap-up. So Tuesday afternoon, be on the lookout for that. So we will be talking all Rangers Tuesday afternoon. We'll be talking possible free agent targets. We'll be talking about coaching possibilities, maybe even draft. And we'll do a little memorial for them, eulogy, I guess, if you will. But yeah, we will be talking about the Rangers with Johnny Lazarus on Tuesday. So join us for that. I am going to actually sign off. I know I did like another almost 10 more minutes after I said I would do 5. But thank you all for joining me on this. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Word of mouth helps as well. Tell everybody about us. But yeah, again, just sad to see it end for Sam Rosen. Sad that it ended this way, but I'm happy he got to call a win, I guess. And it was kind of fitting that they won 4-0 on his last game in his 40th season. So, but everybody have a good night. Thank you again, Sam. We love you. We will miss you. You are a legend, and thank you for everything that you have done for all of us. Thank you for being a big part of the soundtrack of our lives. We will miss you.